You may be looking at this gaming PC and think, wow, this looks like it's really expensive. But what if I told you it is only $700, it can handle 1440p, it has DDR5 RAM, a great upgrade path, and on top of that, we're gonna show you how to build it and we're gonna tell you how you can win one. But first, we gotta pay some bills, so let's thank today's sponsor. PC Bros is your one-stop shop to awesome gaming PCs, starting as low as $100, going all the way up to $6,000. We can meet your needs and we are true gamers here. Every single person at PC Bros games every day. We know what it takes. We know the minimum amounts that you need to spend, so we will get you taken care of. Check out PCBros.tech today and use code TOASTYBROS2 on checkout to save 2%. So when you only have $700 to spend, you gotta go cheap on some parts. And the good news is the i3-14100F exists, a 4-core 8-thread CPU that is on the B760 platform or LGA 1700, so very upgradable. Comes with a stock cooler that actually looks pretty nice and cools really well, and it's 14 gen, so you get Gen 4, Gen 5 support, you get DDR5 support as well, and this build does have DDR5. And speaking of DDR5 and Gen 5, we have this right here, an ASrock B760M Pro RS. This is a pretty good looking board. You get RGB, you get kind of a silver, white, and black color scheme, you get 4 RAM slots that are all DDR5, 2 4-pins for the CPU, you get Gen 4 on the M.2 NVMe slot, so it's like, what more could you really ask for on a pretty budget board? Now here's where you gotta make a decision, 16 or 32 gigs of RAM. We decided to go with 16 gigs of DDR5 because you can get it for around 60 bucks versus 100 for 32 gigs. And honestly, most modern games, unless you're streaming and stuff like that, 16 gigs is about where they cap out anyways while running Windows. So realistically, we're not gonna see a huge performance gap going to 32, but this is Patriot Viper Gaming and it is a 2x8 kit at 5600 megahertz. So pretty good stuff. So right here we have a Mushkin NVMe SSD. This is a 1TB Gen 4 NVMe SSD. So Gen 4 means you're gonna get some faster than normal NVMe speeds. And look at this. This is all it is. I love these things because they cost almost the same as a 2.5-inch drive, but you get more speed and no cables. And this right here is almost kind of the star of the show. This is a Gigabyte RX 7600. It's an OC version. I opted for a 3-fan. I always try to get 3-fan cards because in a case like this micro ATX we'll talk about in a minute, it is going to fill the case really nicely. The 2-fan ones are cool, but hey, if you can buy a 3-fan for almost the same price, you might as well make sure it fits and everything, but we've already checked, they do fit and it's gonna look really nice. You're gonna get RX 6700 XT level performance, or at least close to there, and it's a newer architecture. And here we have the Segotep GN 650W 80+ gold power supply. This is an awesome power supply because 80+ gold, it is not modular, but the cables look pretty nice, and I love it because it comes with all the connectors you could ever need, and it has a really good upgrade path. Yes, you can definitely upgrade on the 650W, believe it or not, because you're not gonna pull that much power with these parts at all. You're not even gonna use half of this unit. And then this is a new case to the market. This is the Okinos Aqua 3, and I hope I'm saying that right, but I've seen these on eBay and Newegg very recently, and I've been wanting to build one really bad. We actually just did a video recently where Matt planned to build with one, but I decided for the giveaway PC, let's go for it. You get a really cool design because you get this kind of panoramic glass where there's no bezels or anything, and then at the bottom you have all of this airflow so that your graphics card and whatever else you want, if you want to add some fans here, you can actually get a pretty cool intake and exhaust flow going. But from the start they do come with 3 fans, and they're actually not really set exactly right, so they're basically all exhaust right now. Realistically, I'm probably gonna run them as is because this build is not gonna produce a lot of heat, and you should be able to just get a lot of natural airflow coming up through basically from these exhaust pulling, but we'll see. You know, if the temps are bad, we'll swap them around, but for now I'm gonna go with the aesthetic look on this. And guys, 700 bucks for this build should be really good. I'm excited to see what the 3D time spy score is gonna be, and also how to play in games because we're gonna test most of them at 1440p. Let's go ahead and build it. Alright guys, it's time to start off the step-by-step, and first I like to start by getting the motherboard and all the accessories out. So the board really doesn't come with much. It comes with some SATA cables and some extra screws for the M.2s. The best part is built-in I/O shield, so we don't have to worry about forgetting that. So we're going to start off by doing the CPU. So we're going to go ahead, take this bracket, we're going to push out and pull up, and then go ahead and inspect your pins. They should be a very nice array. You'll notice if one's bent because it'll stand out like a sore thumb. It'll just look really weird. And you're gonna take the CPU, there's an arrow right here, and there's typically going to be an arrow right up here on the plastic as well, but it can only go in one way. You should be able to tell pretty easily if the notches aren't lining up, but I kind of like to take it, and then once you get it pretty well lined up, just kind of gently drop it in. It should go into place. If it doesn't, just kind of nudge side to side, being careful not to bend any of those pins. And then you're gonna kind of push down in that bracket. up and over. And this usually will pop off on its own. Sometimes it doesn't. You just gotta pull it off. And there's our 14100F. Looks very nice. So now we're gonna go ahead, take our stock cooler. One little tip slash trick, which usually Intel's pretty good about it, all of these screws need to be turned to the right. So actually, no, one of them wasn't, funny enough, so I'm glad I checked that. If they're not turned to the right, then it's not in the locking position, and these can actually come undone. What I did there is I just put the cable underneath this. This is not a necessary step. I just find that it makes cable management a little bit easier. So before we plug it in, we'll go ahead and worry about getting these pins in first. So opposing corners. All right, we got 2 of them in. And a good thing to check, and so you guys saw it from the front, I'm gonna show you from the back side of the board now. So we're going for, we got top pin, you ready? This one right here, Jonah, you ready? Ready? And then bottom. So you should be able to turn this over and see those very well, where they're kind of pushing out. And you should be able to fully do this with your cooler. If it falls off, then your chances are you did something wrong, because these stock coolers, even though they're a lot of plastic, they're actually stronger than you would think. We're gonna take this CPU 4-pin and plug it into the 4-pin header that's labeled CPU fan 1. So now we're gonna go ahead and install the RAM. You'll notice it actually tells you which ones it wants you to use. This is very general for all boards. So B2 and A2. And that's gonna be pretty general for all boards. I always just tell people, do the one furthest from the CPU first, and then skip a slot, there you go. So I call it like 1 and 3, some people call it 2 and 4, doesn't really matter. This will only go in one way. You'll notice the notch lines up there in the middle. So we're gonna apply equal force to both of them. Try to make sure that you don't wiggle too much, because you literally could fold a RAM lane over and then your motherboard's done. And here we go with the second one. So we skipped the slot. And you'll notice how I didn't use my fingers to push these slots closed. If you have to, there's a good chance that it's not in all the way, and you're gonna end up not posting. So yeah, that is one of the first troubleshooting steps I would always try. We're going on the M.2 now. So that's how we install our NVMe SSD, which you technically could use any of the slots in this board because they all should run in Gen 4, but we wanna use this top slot because we got a nice little heat sink here that'll actually help it run a little bit cooler. So we'll go ahead and peel this off. This basically reveals our reusable thermal pad, which will help with some of the heat transfer. Pop it in an angle. You'll notice it kind of sits in at an angle. You'll then push down on it, and you're gonna put this back on the same way. The text obviously will be facing down because that's how it'll sit in your build. And this part's a little bit tricky because you feel like you're not getting it, but my favorite way of doing it is basically lay this on first, and then just real slowly try to go straight down as you can. And I've never had one just like pop out randomly or anything. I would definitely get that screw started first. And these are PH1s, by the way. You could use a PH1 or even a PH0. PH2 Phillips will not fit in these screws. And these are just, nice and just finger tight. You really don't need anything more than that. These do not need anything serious. And you can actually kind of see that it's in there, and it's straight. You can look and not see it like protruding out on one side. But at this point, we got a built motherboard. Like I said, holding it from this, we're looking pretty good. We can go ahead and take this peel here off. We're not gonna need that. And now we're gonna go ahead and throw it into the case. So now we can go ahead and put the motherboard in. You could put the power supply in first, but it really doesn't matter. Since this is a good micro ATX case, it actually, very, very good fitment. So we have not much extra room in here, which is what I personally like to see. I don't like a ton of extra space in a case. So I wanna make sure that all of our standoffs are here. And I noticed that there is one, and it's gonna be really hard for the camera to capture, but you see screw, a spot for a screw, but then here there's not one. I wanna make sure there's not an extra standoff. Ooh, there is. So this could have been bad because we could have shorted the back of the board. We have had that happen more than once. So that is something you really just want to watch out for. It looked like we only had one extra, so that's good. We'll go ahead and take that out and we'll put it in a different spot because a lot of people do not know this step. And it's annoying too because sometimes they work perfectly fine. Other times, it slowly kind of rubs through the silicone on the back of the board, makes contact, but we should be good now. So we got 1, 2, we don't have any back here, so we're good there, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we're looking good now. So for these screws, your case is gonna come with screws. All right, oh look, they give us extra IO shield pop-outs in case you take out the wrong ones. You know where I found these screws? The bottom of the case. So it looks like, yep, they give us some fine thread screws. That's gonna be, this case specifically is gonna use the fine thread. So to show you guys the comparison difference, because I know that can be kind of important. So we got a coarse thread screw right here, and then a fine thread screw here. Fine thread is typically going to be motherboards and SSDs. Coarse thread is going to be like your power supply, graphics cards, some motherboards actually, well, some cases I should say, will use those as well. So now we can safely stand this up. We got our back panel off as well. is the front panel. Motherboard's installed, IO shield came pre-installed. One thing I feel like I forgot to mention earlier that I know someone's gonna comment about, this cooler comes with thermal paste pre-applied. Intel and AMD, they all do that. And honestly, most aftermarket coolers nowadays even come with it pre-applied, especially liquid coolers. But anyways, let's go ahead and pull this stuff out of here, get all that out of the way. And let's go ahead and pull out our Segotep 650 watt, which once again, if you want to spend a little more, they make a 750 watt version that we use here a lot. And once again, 80 plus gold, fully modular. So that's a pretty cool part, because we're not going to need a lot of these cables in this build. It's a pretty basic build that I think only needs like one SATA connector. So yeah, with it being non-modular, we definitely get a lot of extra cables. The good news is a lot of room for cable management in this case. So it's not a huge deal, but especially if you end up getting sleeve cable extensions or something, you definitely want to have. All right, so the power supply, I recommend undoing that twist tie, and you're good to go like this. You're going to turn it upside down because you want the power supply fan / exhaust intake to be on its own circuit. So with the fan being upside down, you're not going to get any of that extra hot air that it produces inside the build. It's all going to be outside. And there's going to be a total of 4 of them needed. And the power supply will always come with your power connector, and it'll also come with 4 more of these screws, as well as usually some zip ties. So between the case coming with some zip ties and the power supply, you'll probably have enough to actually cable manage the build without needing to go buy some. Power supply screwed in. So now everyone's favorite part, the part that this is usually where most people mess up, so I recommend following along pretty well. We're gonna show you guys how to plug in each individual connector. All right, guys, it is time to plug in some cables. I got my handy dandy helper Jonah in the front there.
Yep.
But this right here is the 24 pin coming off the power supply. Is the main power connector. I'm gonna feed that to Jonah right through here.
And you guys can see there, just pull it through. And then this little tab right here goes on the outside, facing outside of the case. So we'll just kind of flip it around like that and then push in.
Back and forth, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, I heard a click.
There's a click, and you are good. Jackson can pull the slack back through. There you go.
Yep, that's looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and do the second most important connector. This right here is the CPU 4+4 pin, or just called an 8 pin if you want. Make sure not to mix this up with the PCIe for your graphics card, because believe it or not, you actually can sometimes plug it in the wrong connector. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed this one through the topmost slot. I'm gonna try not to get these cables all mixed up here.
Yeah, it's a tight fit, but when you pull it through, same deal. This little tab on the top here, if you guys can see that right there, that goes towards the top of the case. So we'll just kind of turn it around. You just line it up, push it in until you hear a clip.
All right, so that's the main connectors to get the board actually working. Next up, we're gonna do the PCIe. Now, Jonah's not gonna plug it in anywhere yet. I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of find a good spot to put it through. This is typically going to be a 2-piece connector. We're only actually gonna need 1, I believe, for this graphics card. This is an 8 pin as well. It's technically called a 6+2. We're gonna take that, and I'm just gonna go ahead and preemptively say probably right through this port here.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good spot. So I'm just gonna kind of just basically preemptively for my cable management purposes, it just makes things a little easier going ahead and having that through. Jonah can kind of just let it dangle there. So before we conclude the power supply connectors, and after that we can actually just shove all these cables in a spot for cable management. This right here is a SATA connector. So we're gonna use that, and that's literally just a power connector for our ARGB hub, which this case does conveniently come with, which I really do appreciate. So I'm gonna go ahead and there we go. So we're gonna take that connector. It can only go in one way. There's like a little notch. So now I'm putting all of my front panel stuff off to the side because we don't want to accidentally shove that in the basement. And just to make it a little easier on myself, because I'm kind of like a cable manage as I go kind of guy, I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of shove all of these cables inside of the hard drive cage. You can honestly remove this cage if you want, but I find that, you know, in case the person who's buying this PC ever wants the hard drive cage for whatever reason, you know, it's good to have in there. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and start off with a pretty important spot, which is called the front panel headers. So that's going to look like this right here, very microscopic there. Basically, this one only has a power switch and then your power LEDs, so no hard drive indicator or anything like that. And we're gonna go ahead and take those connectors, we're gonna put them right through here. The same spot that we put that PCIe connector through.
All right, so we'll grab the cables from Jackson. And if you all look really closely here, you all actually can see that this motherboard lays out where you're supposed to plug everything in at. McAllister can probably also put up a little overlay on the screen here, but basically you have your hard drive LED on the bottom left, power LED on the top left, and then power button on the top right. We're gonna go for first these two little pieces right here. So these are your power LEDs, plus and minus. You do your plus on the left side and then minus on the right side. You just kind of line them up, text facing upwards, and then just kind of push them in to those little pins. And boom, we got that done. And then we'll follow that up right next to it on its right side with the power switch, which goes right there on the right side. And then that is everything for your front panel.
And I'll pull that slack back through. All right, next up, we'll go ahead and stand towards the bottom of the case. We'll go ahead and do the HD audio, which if your case has USB 2.0, very similar connector, but it's missing a pin towards the end instead. This one's kind of more towards the middle, and it's also labeled HD audio, so you really can't miss it. But that's gonna go kind of right above the power supply, just like that.
You have a missing pin right there, so you're just gonna find where that missing pin is, which is the top right up here, and you'll just turn her around and plug it straight in. And no like satisfying click or anything for this one. You just plug it in and then push the slack back through.
So next up, we're gonna be doing USB 3.0, very fat connector, looks like this. That's what's gonna be the front USB connection for 3.0. We're gonna put that right below the 24 pin, just like that.
Yep, and here it is, guys. Same thing with most of these cables here is there's a small little clip at the end. You can kind of see that right there, a little grommet. So you're gonna match that up to the side where there's a little cutout for it. So face that little piece outside, and then you just kind of line it up and give it a nice quick push, and you'll hear a nice click.
And then right next to the USB 3, we have a USB Type-C, which is pretty typical. They're always gonna be kind of in the same spot. And I love that this case, for it being like a $60 case, not only is it ARGB on the fans, but also USB Type-C. That is pretty futuristic right there. All right, USB-C, once again, gonna go right underneath our USB 3.
Yeah, so USB-C right here, pretty much can only go in one way, so you just kind of line it up. Yep, and then you just push, and you got USB-C in. And then Jackson might be able to pull some extra slack back through, but super straightforward connector.
And then we actually do have one left before the graphics card, and that's going to be a fan header. So all these fans are ARGB, but they also do need a fan splitter as well, unless you have 3 ports in your motherboard, but it actually comes with one pre-installed. So we just have one fan to plug in. Do we have one towards the bottom?
Yeah, it's right here. And you guys can see right there next to those two little enclosed pin connector spots. All right, I'm gonna be putting it right there. So they have this little channel spot right here. You just kind of line that up with that little flat piece in the bottom and then push like so. And you're gonna have one extra pin on the right side since it's a 3-pin. But that is your fan header.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get GPU installed at this point, the fun part.
We're gonna be doing the GPU install here. So first thing you wanna do is pull off this little protector pin, or protector cover. This will protect your pins. And then you have little covers for little peels for your fans. I like to peel those off beforehand too. And then you also have these little covers for your display outs. I like to pull all of them out as well, just because that way you can know if you line up these slots here at the end perfectly. So with that being done, you're gonna wanna push this little piece out right here. That's where you're gonna be inserting and clipping in your GPU. And then on the other camera, you're gonna see here, these are your 2 PCIe slot covers, and it looks like when I'm lining them up, we're going to pop out the top 2 slots. And now these are pretty just straightforward. You just kind of wiggle them out, but you're going to take a screwdriver, loosen this one right here, and then you can move this back. And then pretty much just watch, you know, those resistors on the motherboard and everything, but just kind of slowly get them going.
Wiggle.
And then they just yoink out like that. There's one. Yeah, just take your time so you don't break anything on the motherboard. But this has some pretty good clearance, so you should be okay. And 2. Bring you guys in a little closer. And again, you just kind of line it up. And just kind of push forward. And then when you're pretty much ready, lined up and ready to go, you just kind of brace yourself and push. I think you're in.
You don't always get
there.
This
You go.
out. There we go.
There's the click. Yeah, you should hear a nice little click, and you should see that notch in the back kind of move forward on its own again. So before you plug that PCIe power cable in, you're gonna take 2 coarse-threaded power supply screws, and you're gonna screw them in to the little slots and spots that are open back here.
Don't be cheap, guys. Use both.
Use both, don't use one.
I'll be seeing graphics cards fly out of PCs if you only use one.
And then for a lot of GPUs, you're gonna kind of have to, like, you know, move that bracket up a little bit so it's nice, and
I usually try to get it like to where the slots are like you can almost not get to them.
yeah, you want it pretty straightforward, but you want to be able to still be able to plug in each one of these ports. So that's really important when you're screwing that in. Just make sure it's lined up correctly. We're gonna move this back and tighten it. It's a thumb screw, so you can just kind of tighten it like that. And then lastly, your PCIe cable. You're gonna want to, if you have something like this, you're gonna want to use this first one right here, not the one that's coming off the side. Just line up this top lip here and just push, and you'll see it latch on the top. So there you guys go. You'll later on in the cable management, we'll just get a zip tie and kind of tie that up so it's not, you know, sticking out like this. All that's left to do is cable management.
All right, guys, it is everyone's favorite time for cable management. So we're gonna start off where Jonah left, and that was the front. So really the front, honestly, looking pretty good, but we're just gonna put one zip tie, maybe two. Yeah, we're gonna do two. We'll put one here, get it pretty tight. And I like to use the thicker zip ties in the front. I just think they look a little more aesthetic. You could even get some Velcro if you really wanna get fancy with it. So the second one, I'm gonna get all the way at the bottom. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then we're gonna cut these zip ties. And if you really wanna go the extra mile, after cutting the zip ties, you can kind of even like turn them a little bit just to make sure that they're not as easy to see the spot that you cut. So that looks pretty good for that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and flip the case around. Oh God, that looks so bad in the back. This looks like it needs love. All right, so it needs love and a lot of zip ties. We got a lot of zip ties, and I have some passion for PC building, so this works out. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and, I was kind of struggling with this earlier. That hard drive cage just it's a very small hard drive cage. It's only meant to fit one drive, it looks like. So I'm gonna try to shove a lot of these connectors underneath this power supply bundle if I can, but I'm just already out of room. So now we're just gonna go ahead and work our way from top to bottom. That's how I like to do it, at least. So we're gonna go ahead and do one zip tie through here. And don't forget, you can get a little unconventional. You don't have to use the provided zip tie holders they include. You can even just use whatever holes are in the case. All right, and that's about where I want it to be. I personally don't like, I say this every video, but just in case you guys don't see them, I don't really like cable managing the very bottom, like towards the power supply basement, because in case you ever need to do any troubleshooting or repairs or anything like that, you're gonna need to get to that stuff, and it's really frustrating when it's all like bundled neatly. To be able to test or do anything, you kind of have to undo all your cable management anyways. I like to just get the bottom just kind of shoved in place, like out of the way, kind of like that. And it's not like anyone's really even gonna see your cable management anyway, so just get it as good as you think is good. And then we can go ahead, find our back panel screws. Make sure that your back panel can actually go on too, because I've definitely had many times where I cable management too well, and you know, you get those nice bundles, but they also cause the side panel to bulge really bad. And go ahead and check the front now. Make sure that none of the cables came back through. I'd say that is pretty dang clean. I'm gonna hide that tag a little better, or even cut it off if it, gone. It's like it was never there. Look at that. That looks nice. Shall we turn it on?
Let's try.
All right, here's the power button on this thing. Is it up front?
Yeah.
All right, so we actually have the LED button hooked up. They did give you an ARGB header, by the way, so we could have used that if we wanted to. Yeah, we'll go blue for now, but I mean, at this point, yeah, we'll get some software on here to get the motherboard lighting changed, and then the Gigabyte logo changed to maybe like all blue, so that'll look pretty good. But we're gonna go ahead and do some benchmarking on it. Like I said, guys, 1440p, I think it's gonna be pretty good for it at the price. All right, guys, we are playing some Fortnite, and we are currently at 1440p with the frame rate cap of 200 FPS. We are running a custom quality preset because we have TSR medium and the temporal super res set to balanced. And then we are running the epic view distance, basically everything else pretty much set to low. So we're gonna get a pretty visual, good-looking game, so it's not going to look like performance settings or pro settings, as I say. But because of that, we aren't going to get like 200 plus FPS. I mean, we're playing at 1440p on a $700 all-new parts gaming PC. It has a good upgrade path. It has DDR5 RAM. It's like, what more could you really ask for, honestly? But hey, off the drop, 140 plus FPS for the most part. So I can definitely live with that. It's definitely a high refresh rate at 1440p, which is very impressive. Oh, lasered. All right, guys, it's demon time. What the heck? I just had like some weird like hitching there. Come on. Oh, bro. Oh, I played around too much. What if they kill me? Oh my god, I played around way too much there. Oh, that real player. Whew. Gotta collect my materials for no builds. Oh, the turret off the rip. Whew. Don't mind if I do. Turret activated. Oh, you're done, buddy. Whenever this turret, oh my goodness, where'd they go? Quit shooting me. We can wreak havoc upon this place. Oh. Vehicles work underwater. Good to note. How is it missing? Oh, I don't know. I think I ran into the gas pump and it blew up. Actually, wait. Oh, he has a missile launcher. Maybe it was both. I don't know. But anyways, Fortnite, guys. 1440p. That was pretty cool to get 1440p over 144 FPS most of the time. At $700, let's try out the next game. All right, guys. It's time for the next esports title. Right after Fortnite, we're following with some Overwatch 2.0. And we're currently in 1440p again. We do have the dynamic render scale set to off, so we shouldn't be using like any upscaling or anything like that. Shouldn't be keyword. And then we're running the medium graphics quality with AMD FSR 2.2 on. And as you guys can see at 1440p, we're maintaining between I'm gonna say 150 and 200 FPS most of the time. This is just a quick play, so apparently we lost the first round. I wasn't here for it. Oh, we're getting a little bit of lag. We did just load into the game too, and sometimes you got to be patient. You know, let the games load all their textures and everything in. And there's also a lot going on. I got a diva just blowing bombs at me right now. Man, it's crazy. The 14100 is actually kind of struggling. I might need to try to turn off upscaling or something like that, because at 1440p we should definitely be using. It is an esports title, but we should be using more of the GPU. I feel like than our CPU. Unless our CPU is just actually that bottleneck in this game, but I think we got some more potential. But alas, my team needs me. All right, can we even change settings now? All right, so I just turned on the dynamic render scale. Oh, I got him. Let's go. I must help my team secure this dubski. Oh, I need to use my ult too. Yeah, I'd like to see y'all get to the point now. Bink and bink. Oh, where are you going? Where are you going, Mercy? Oh, it hurts. It hurts so much. I thought she was gonna go gold mode. Oh, she's gonna try to push me into the thing. Oh, we can get her, team. Yeah. Whew. I can be got. I can kill them all. I can get them, I swear. Oh my gosh, we do. I thought that was a wall. We kind of did him a little dirty. Oh, but we're losing the point. I was like I'm getting like carpal tunnel. My fingers hurt. Man, all right, my team lost the first round, but I tell you what. Once they got me as the tank, they knew what was up. Get out of here, Lucio. Almost got our ult again too. And by almost, we got our ult again. Oh, I forgot they did the stun baby diva. Woohoo! They do not take crazy ult. Nice. I need to see if we got to play the game. That felt good though. 22 kills. Not bad, not bad. I mean, it's quick play. Can't really brag much, but anyways, guys, 1440p. Overwatch is a great example of a game that really does great with upscaling. I didn't even get to play the game. I'm done with this game. But anyways, once again, guys, looks great. Let's go ahead and test out a AAA title because I know you guys want to see, can it actually do 1440p in something like, I don't know, Warzone? All right, guys, we are playing Warzone 2.0. Once again, 1440p. As you guys can see, we're on the basic quality preset with AMD FSR 3.0. Once again, we're kind of utilizing the new AMD stuff. So let's see what we can do here. This is a AAA title. It's about close to as demanding as it gets, maintaining 100 FPS for the most part. I think we'll probably, oh yeah, a little bit of stuttery here once we're kind of loading in textures, getting a lot of other players kind of coming into the lobby. Dude, someone, oh. We got an AFK player in the lobby. Oh, this guy's fast. Oh, Dude, I almost could. He was hiding in it. That guy's smart. He was hiding in like a dead body. This is a dangerous. That was really dangerous. Woo! Dang, that didn't even break armor. That's crazy. I swear that was a headshot. Ooh. I'm gonna die for this. Because if this guy doesn't kill us, the other. Yep. There's the other guy we were talking about. Maybe he won't kill me, right? Oh, he did. Does he not see me? For real? Oh, he saw me that time. Ooh! Multiple bogeys. Holy crap! Ooh, almost just died. That guy's out of the game though. No! Why a pistol? Why a pistol? I think I just lost off that. Practicey bot killed me. Well, it was a valiant effort, 15th place, but yeah, 1440p, like I said, guys, I mean, you could lower settings some more or just go 1080p in a AAA title like this, but hey, it was playable, which is pretty dope. We even got, at times, the high refresh rate. So at this point, we're gonna run the 3D Mark Time Spy. We're gonna see what score we get on the $700 PC. I got faith that's gonna be a pretty decent cent per point, but we gotta find out, and it looks great. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Alright guys, I'd say this PC was pretty successful for some $700 1440p action, especially in those esports titles, and even the AAAs. If you're willing to lower some settings, you can actually get some decent FPS. Now we managed to get a 3D Mark Time Spy score of 10,024, which is 7 cents per point, which is pretty good. That's what we like to see here, and on top of that, it just looks great. We didn't have to sacrifice any looks for the performance that we got, and like I said, fully upgradable. You guys could really add any other hardware you want to. The 14th Gen i3, actually pretty good, and you don't get any of the issues that you would get with like the i7s or i9s with the weird instability issues. And once again, don't forget, we will be giving away one of these gaming PCs, and if you miss it, it's all good. Every second Friday of the month, we do a giveaway PC courtesy of PCBros.tech, and we will be selling 4 of these as well in case you just want to buy one outright. You're not lucky, you don't win, that's all good. We got plenty for sale at PCBros.tech. So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Attention gamers. The PC giveaway is June 14th starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So like I said, make it if you can. We'll be giving away the PC closer to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but if you're there the whole stream, you would know that we give away a lot of other things such as gift cards, merch, care packages. Yeah. Trying to remember off the dome here. What else do we give away, Jonah?
Sometimes like extra goodies like peripherals, GPUs.
Yes, that's part of the care package typically. And sometimes we do give away GPUs as well. I don't know if this is going to be one of them, but I guess you have to be there to find out. See you guys later.